Okay. All right, this is Dave with the Gardener's Touch, and we're going to do a little video here on flower planting, although we are using vegetables because flower season got by us. First thing you want to do when you get your plants to the job site is you want to water them. We prefer to use either a water wand or a watering can like this so that we don't blast the water out. You can use a hose if you put your hand over the end of it to diffuse the water. Mostly you just want to be careful that you're not blasting the water out of the root balls. Now, all these plants came in together from the same grower, and they all look pretty moist. Some of them are a little bit drier than others. Mostly I want to make sure that you guys all understand that you really need to get your plants soaked before you put them in. And you do that because the different soil types. The grower has their medium that they're using, and then you're planting in a different soil medium. And you want to be sure that the medium that you're using, especially if you're on a big HOA job, you've got clay, and if it's a little bit dry, it's going to suck the moisture right out of these little root balls. So you want to make sure they're as wet as can be before we get started. We're planting in a vertical garden setup. Urban Gardens is the name of it. First thing you're going to want to do is amend your beds. Now, because we've got a nice potting soil, we're ready to go here. We are going to put in a fertilizer. Osmocote is a retail brand name. It's a slow release. We use a product called Apex Triple 14 that has the same kind of coating that releases the product very slowly. And this is our base fertilizer throughout the year. So it'll continue to release nutrients slowly so that we get good root growth and good color. And it's just really the first of a few different fertilizers we use throughout the season. But Chaz is getting it spread there on the top before we even begin, so as we're planting it'll get mixed in. Like I mentioned, it is a slow release, so it doesn't really matter if it's against the roots. It's not going to have any effect. Go ahead and get started with this one. Even though we're planting vegetables, it's a lot like planting flowers. You got some plants that get tall, some that are shorter. So you always want to plant your taller varieties towards the back and your shorter varieties towards the front. Or if you have a trailing variety, that would also go towards the front. At this place we clearly have a front and a back. Sometimes you might have a pot situation where people are going to view it from all sides. And when that's the case, you can put the taller plants in the middle and do what's called a choir boy setup. So you'll have your taller plants in the middle, then the medium ones, and then the shorter ones on the edge. Now we went ahead and pre-planned how we're going to do this, so we have all our flowers separated, or our vegetables separated by flats for what flat goes in the first tier and what one goes in the second tier, and so on. So as Chaz gets them spread out, you see we've got some strawberries there with strawberries already on them. We have a couple of different varieties of strawberries, and I apologize, I am not an expert on vegetables. This particular homeowner just decided that they wanted to try something new but didn't want to go full force into a full-on garden that they're working on their hands and knees tilling stuff in. So this is a nice entry first step. So Chaz is going to go ahead and start planting, and you want to gently take the plants out there. As you can see, set the container onto the side. We typically, maybe we go ahead and take the tags out, Chaz, and then we'll put the tags back after we're all done. Okay. Usually with flowers in an ornamental situation, you want to take all the tags out. You may give them to the homeowner, or it's good, I like to keep a sample from each job somewhere on the job, so if we have some serious dieback or something, we know what variety of petunia we had, what color, or geraniums especially. There's about 300 colors of red geranium, so if you put in flame and then they ran out of flames and you had to go to some other color of red, you know what you put in. Now, as you can see, these are pretty root bound. Chaz is loosening up the roots on those. Back in the day when ACLP was, well, it wasn't young, we did it for 25 years, but we used to plant plants for the testing, and when we did that, these plants will get planted and dug up and planted and dug up, you know, several times throughout the day. And the funniest thing was, at the end of the day, they looked horrible, but when I took them home and planted them in my yard, they took off a lot faster than a plant that had been tenderly handled and only planted once. So the loosening up of the roots will go a long way to moving the roots out into the native soil and getting your plant established faster. And that's really what you're looking for. The sooner those roots are out into the native soil, they'll have a bigger nutrient tray to draw from. They'll have access to more water, more nutrients, and then they'll begin to take off. So one thing you'll see Chaz is setting the containers aside. And the reason we do that, every company is going to be different. We plant a lot of flowers, and we don't necessarily have, you know, 15 flats of flowers that go at this job, and you plant all 15 no matter how you get them in. We budget, we allow for some loss and some breakage along the way. And so we may send 15 flats of flowers, and there may be 5 different varieties. And when it's all said and done, I want to bill the client for exactly what I put in. So we set the containers aside and we count empty containers. You know, I've got receipts to go back on to see what we actually took to the house, but empty containers for us is a good way to count what you've actually planted in the ground. Chaz, if you want, you could actually go around the backside and plant from the backside too. Might be a little, not block everything. But you know, same thing, repetition over and over again. Just get the roots out, loosen them up a little bit, make your hole. You don't want them to be any deeper than the root ball. In the potting soil situation, this whole thing is going to settle down. It's all potting soil, and once we water it, the whole thing's going to settle down. We'll most likely top dress it one more time, probably in another week. Give it a week to settle in. If you have irrigation systems in your particular pots and that, you obviously want to be careful about those. And when you're completely through, you're going to want to run your irrigation system and make sure you didn't hit any pipes. Some guys run microjets or use poly lines with the Netafim or the DL2000 drip lines, and if they're running through the beds, you just want to make sure you double check your work when it's all said and done, so that you don't have unwanted surprises after you've left the job. Hate to do a brilliant job planting all the flowers, drive away, have a big hole, and all they remember is that you left a big muddy mess because you had a leak. These little strawberries are going to trail over the edge here, and back behind we've got some romaine lettuce, and we've also got some Swiss chard. I think this is called City Lights, with a lot of different colors. So even though these aren't flowers, they are very colorful, and even if she never eats a single one, it'll be better than looking at the dirt and the granite that's behind it. And if everything goes well, she'll get hooked and become an avid gardener, and we'll expand the garden to the area back behind. Chaz is being very gentle with these as it is being videotaped. You can actually plant at normal speed like you'd do if we were getting paid to do it, if you like. All I'm going to hear after this video is how slow gringos are. This is me filling up the water can. I know you can't see me on video. I just want to make sure there's no misconceptions about this running water in the video. So now when Chaz is done, he'll have his water can ready to go. If it were flowers, especially in the fall. I would also be mixing in, we conveniently call our blooming fertilizer Super Bloom, but it's a high phosphorus fertilizer. Typically it's something in the high 30s, a blue powder that we mix in with the water when we water the plants in. So we started off with a slow release that's mixed into the soil, and then as we water in, we would come in with a quick release high phosphorus fertilizer that's going to promote root growth and flowering. So now he's got it all planted, he's got all his tags together, and we're going to do a smooth out top dress. What's there? And like I said, once we'll water this in now, and once give it a few days to settle, we'll probably come back in and top dress it again with some compost. Ultimately, this planter in the summertime will end up with an irrigation system. It'll probably be a Netafim or a DL2000 drip line run through the middle of it there, but because it is the winter time and we're at the kind of the middle of this job, we're not going to hook it up right now. I'm afraid things would get overwatered. More likely to die from overwatering this time of year than underwatering. But there you go, nice little planted bed, and with proper planting technique, the hosing off pretty well cleaned things off. You always want to make sure to clean your area, pull your tags, sweep off around if you've got a sidewalk or a patio. And then you would turn on your irrigation system and run your irrigation system and make sure you don't have any leaks. And once you're comfortable on that, program the irrigation controller to take over for you, and you're off to the races. I don't think I have anything else, so hopefully you've all enjoyed this planting video and you understand now what we're looking for when you plant those flowers out there. But you can move a little bit faster. Your bosses will all appreciate that.